Hi, this is Kathleen Caldwell, founder of Caldwell Consulting Group and the ThoughtLeader Women Institute. I'm just delighted to bring you this webinar, and the webinar is inspired by having a vision for 2020, this new decade, this new opportunity in your life. And the name of the webinar is Your 2020 Vision, More Success or More of the Same. And why this is really important is that we have a new opportunity to step into leadership in this new decade, in this new year. And I thought I would bring to you a different perspective on looking at the upcoming year and years beyond this. So our agenda for our time together is, number one, we'll talk about having a new way of viewing the year. Number two, we'll go in and spend a few minutes, and of course you can pause the webinar at any time to talk about and for you to think about and capture your accomplishments from 2019, the past year. Just starting from a strengths perspective, thinking about what it is that you actually accomplished. And then as we move through our webinar, we'll start the process of your 2020 vision, starting to craft that from a different perspective that I think you're going to really like. And then finally, number four is what are the key, most critical steps that you need to take and should consider taking to realize your vision. Okay, so with that, let's go forward. So I'd like to encourage you to take a moment and think about, at minimum, the three things that you're the most proud of accomplishing in 2019. These can be personal accomplishments, professional accomplishments. Think about these big pillars in your life. How did you spend 2019, this past year? And take a moment, pause the webinar, and write down the three things that you're the most proud of accomplishing. Okay, as you're coming back, really take a moment and take in the importance of these accomplishments. Take in the good feeling of really feeling proud of your realization, the things that you are working on, because this is going to set the foundation for thinking about your vision for the new year. So taking a moment, and I even encourage you, share these accomplishments from the point of what impact did they make in the world? What did you do that really made a difference for other people, not only yourself, but for others? And share this with other folks. Ask them what they felt like were their biggest accomplishments in the past year, because this provides a tremendous springboard for you to move powerfully into this next year. So as we complete that, you might put that aside for a moment and just know I'm a hypnotherapist and I'm a business coach and a life strategist, and I am fascinated by the power of the mind. And the mind is really the key to having you realize what it is that you're committed to and you're excited about in this next year. So I'd like to share with you some data points that I think will put things into perspective for you. So scientists and educators have told us that every day each person has about 60,000 thoughts every day. The challenge is, for most of us, those thoughts are not new thoughts. 90% of those thoughts are habitual. They're very much like the same thoughts that we may have had yesterday. Things like, hey, why didn't I get up earlier today? Or why can't I stop eating sugar? Or why is it that that coworker keeps doing the same thing over and over again? Or why isn't traffic lighter? Et cetera, et cetera. So these are the 90% of the habitual thoughts. And if our mind is occupied with thoughts from the past, thoughts are the same, they're repetitive, maybe they're even ruminating, and cause you to be in a state where you're not really excited about life, this is something to examine for yourself. So change your thinking, change your actions, and ultimately change your life. The thing I also encourage all of my clients to do is to get out of what is called environmental hypnosis. Environmental hypnosis is a state where your environment, your systems, your devices, your lifestyle is causing you to be in a state of a trance. So these could be things like, your phone, checking your phone first thing in the morning and getting into a trance. Maybe if you're checking some social site and you're comparing your life to someone else's life, that can put you into hypnosis and not into a very positive hypnotic state. Think about also the substances. Are you eating too much sugar? Are you consuming too much that is not putting you in a powerful present state? Maybe it's caffeine, maybe it's alcohol. So just take a look at, how are you spending your time and what are you ingesting in the way of positive or social media? And also think about the people that you're surrounding yourself with. They may be in a hypnotic trance too, and they may be negative. So just take a look at it. Just observe for yourself and get in front of this environmental hypnosis. It's a very, very powerful thing. And I suggest putting yourself into a state of positive, optimistic, positive anticipation. And that's also a state of hypnosis. I also like to study how athletes, high-level executives, how do they get and stay motivated and stay in this positive state called the zone? Well, the answer that I found is that they invest in mentorship, coaching, and commit to being on a world-class team. They take control of their mind. They also take control of their bodies. So they're utilizing meditation, mental conditioning, self-talk, affirmations. They're not leaving anything to chance. They know that the power of their mind is absolutely critical to realizing what it is that they want to accomplish. So just take a look at that. And any sort of thought leaders in the world, they have taken control of how they think, what they're thinking, who they surround themselves with, and get very, very focused on what it is that they're committed to and what it is that they want to accomplish. Also note, as we were reviewing just a few minutes ago, our programming, our history, our habits are very, very powerful. I love this little slide because the little girl on the screen is just loving all those cookies. So just notice for yourself what type of programming, what type of habits that you have, and just notice and note what effect they have on you. So it's all of these, um, you know, socially acceptable addictions, whether it's shopping, whether it's smoking, whether it's sugar and salt and caffeine, alcohol, all of these things. And it is possible for you to reprogram yourself to a healthier lifestyle. Notice the graphic on the screen, which is fruits and vegetables. Yeah, you can program yourself and you can recondition yourself to love things like that. Love moving, love doing the things that are going to move you forward in this next year. So in 2020, I'd like to challenge you to think about, what is your commitment for this new year? What is really something that's driving you and motivating you? And is it the idea of having freedom in your life? Is it fame, or is it fortune? Freedom, fame, or fortune? And just knowing the answer to that question for yourself, because everyone's different, we all want different things, but think about and analyze and know thyself to which of these three is really the thing that's going to inspire you in this next year. And with most of my clients, they generally answer freedom. They say that they want more freedom in their life. And that was my answer too. That was my answer for many, many years. And I started to re-examine this through some coaching with a man that I really appreciate and admire, Jeffrey Hazlett. Jeffrey Hazlett challenged me to think that perhaps fortune might be the best thing to focus on, because with fortune, many times you can buy the freedom and you can buy the fame. And I'm not talking about fame from an egotistical perspective or wanting to be an influencer on social media. It's more of being able to have a platform to forward your message and to have a platform of people, a community of people, a tribe of people that you can impact and influence. And fortune many times gives you the fame and can give you the freedom. So just think for yourself and think what will really drive and motivate and inspire you in the next year. And also another thought is the people that you surround yourself with. What's their driving force for this next year? If you're going for freedom or you're going for fortune and others are going playing a different game, maybe that's not the best community for you. Get in a community, get in the flow of people that are going in the same direction that you're going in. So now I'd like to have you take a moment and imagine that here we are, we're December 31st, 2020, the end of the year, this new year, we're at the end of the year. Now that seems a little weird because we're just starting the new year, but I'd like for you to take a moment, use your powerful mind, and fast forward yourself to the end of this upcoming year. Imagine that you have everything that you'd like, every sort of aspiration, vision, anything that you put as a priority for yourself today, that you've accomplished this. You're realizing it. You're enjoying it. You wake up in the morning and you just look at your new house, your new car, maybe some awards you've won because of your philanthropic efforts. You're hanging around with the people, you're with the people that you want to be with. You have the body and the health that's important to you. You've made a real difference this year. And you have the freedom, the fame, and the fortune that you've always wanted. So I'd like for you to pause the recording and take a moment and put yourself at the end of the year and looking back, use that powerful capacity, the brain of yours. We are the only animal that can actually do this. We can fast forward and we can rewind our minds to have us go into the future and then rewind back to the current day. So pause the webinar and spend a moment and think about what you want your life to look like 365 days from now. Okay, thanks for coming back. So notice that I've not used that four-letter word that is very typical of programs that are talking about mission and vision and thinking about the new year. That four-letter word called goal, G-O-A-L. I haven't used that word up until now. And the whole purpose of this webinar is to have you think in a new way, to think about a vision for yourself as opposed to goals. I don't know about you, but traditionally, when I've set goals for myself, I just haven't found them very inspiring. Yes, I've accomplished things, and yes, I've done a lot of things like you have, but I've ultimately found that goal setting, setting up a goal, has been ultimately pretty unfulfilling. It's been something that's been outside of me, something that I've been striving for and wanting to attain. And when I've attained it, I kind of felt a little empty. So I'd like to challenge you to think about your 2020 year in a new way and think about a vision for your life, a vision for your future, and something that you can right now start to live into. So as you put aside the goals for a moment and just consider that the first step is to start to define your vision. Starting to define your vision, and some clues that you can start to think about are, what are the things that you are inspired about or perhaps even frustrated about in your work, in your personal life, in the world, in your community, something that you're inspired about, or perhaps you're just darn frustrated about it. And this is not about being negative about this, but sometimes the things that are the rub for us can actually be turned into and flipped upside down into the opposite, and can be really an inspiring cause. So when you're thinking about your vision, what is it that you'd like to change in the world, or perhaps just change in your town? And then the next question is, what would you like to commit your life to in 2020? What would you love to commit your life to, your precious life to in this next year? Now, when we did the webinar and we did it live, the women that were sharing, it was amazing. These women were sharing such vulnerable things that they were really inspired about, things that they were frustrated about, things that were just real, authentic, and actually kind of raw. I was so surprised and so really inspired by their sharing. And that's why I decided to record the webinar again, because I felt like the container, the opportunity, this moment in time that we had, it was so private that I felt that I wanted to keep that in its time, in its appropriate time and in space. So that's why I decided to re-record this. And women were sharing on the call that the things that they were inspired or frustrated about were social issues, global issues, things that had touched their lives that they just said, hey, doesn't work for me anymore. Or they saw others dealing with the same thing, their same situation, and they started to say, I have a say-so in this. I can make a difference in this, and I'd like to start doing it. So it was a real awakening during our original webinar, and I was so really thrilled, really, really thrilled about this. So for yourself, what could you start to define as a vision that would be perhaps edgy, that would be inspiring, something that really, as Brian Smith, the founder of UGG Boots, talks about? I had the great opportunity to hear a keynote from him a couple weeks ago in New York City through the C-Suite Network. And Brian Smith talked about he knows he's on to something when he feels the chill bumps in his body. And actually, I can feel those chill bumps now. So he knows there's a clue there into what he needs to be. He's pulled toward as a vision, as an inspiration when he starts to feel those goosebumps. So this is a great clue for you. Is there a zing in your body? Is there a knowing? Is there a warmth? Is there a feeling in your body or a sensation or emotion when you start to think about your inspirations or your frustrations? So I'd like for you to just pause the webinar and start to just write things down. There's no need for you to start crafting a sentence or doing anything other than just writing some things down. Words, phrases, causes, something that touches, moves, and inspires you. So please pause the webinar and we'll come back. Great, thank you. So in your 2020 vision, many times people feel like there's something that could be an injustice or an opportunity or some sort of adversity that they have a say-so in the world about. And, thinking about how that can be turned into a positive cause requires all of us to step into some new levels of leadership. And I call these your key inspirational attributes. So in order to do the things that we've never done before, we have to become the person we've never become before. And so these new inspirational attributes are really just a way of being that is a new way for you to look at the world, a new way for you to show up in the world, a new way for you to lead yourself and potentially lead others. It's essentially a way of being. So I'd like for you to think about 3 different inspirational attributes, 3 different things that you can do, ways of being that would call forward your 2020 vision. Maybe it's doing things and doing them with a sense of intuition. So another attribute could be stepping into your leadership. Another attribute could be being more outgoing, being more positive. So please pause the webinar right now and start to think about, look back on your 2020 vision, and for people that you know that are perhaps doing some things that are similar to what you want to do in life. They have causes, They have purposes, they have a big vision, and they've created big communities. Start to analyze what's their way of being that you really admire. So these are also inspirational and admirable attributes. Thinking about yourself in the highest possible light, and when you grant yourself a lot of grace and a lot of patience, who would you be being to realize your 2020 vision? Okay, so the next part of this is you have a vision that you're developing. You have these wonderful inspirational attributes that you feel really positive about. You're thinking about yourself in the highest possible vision. The next part of it is, okay, well, we've got to start taking some action here. Got to start taking action. And notice each of these areas, there are just three things, because I believe that as a human being, we don't get overloaded. We don't get into environmental hypnosis when we just do three things. It's easy to focus on three things. It's hard to focus on 10 things, but three things are possible. You know for yourself that just taking a deep breath, focusing in on the first thing, the second thing, and the third thing gives you the results that you want. So on this slide, your most important daily actions. So please think about and write down through repetition. These are three things, three daily actions that can become habits that help you realize your vision. Just three things. So please pause the webinar and think for yourself and write down your three most important daily actions. Okay, I thought I'd list for you. I've been doing this work for myself, and so my vision for 2020 is, and I believe this to be true because the only real career insurance for women specifically, and I work with men too, but I love working with women because it's an opportunity for having you say how your career is going to go and ultimately have the freedom, opportunities, and fulfillment to become the expert, specialist, or thought leader in your company and in your industry. Whether you're an executive in an organization or corporation, or whether you're an executive in your own company. So stepping into being the CEO, the chief executive officer of your own career, your own business, whether you're employed by a company or not. And when you have acquired valuable knowledge, now, if you've been in your career for more than 5 years, good golly, you've got valuable knowledge. If you've been in career just a couple of years, but especially when you've been in your career and you've been focusing for 5 to 10 years or more, you have valuable knowledge, no doubt about that. And there are also services that you provide, and you can provide these services and this knowledge and this methodology to a tribe of people that you'd like to engage. So these could be people within your company. This could be people outside of your company. And it's a way to take and monetize your knowledge, your vision, your experiences, and put that into services and products and things that people can subscribe to and pay for. And when you do that, I assure you, life becomes a lot more interesting and impactful, and you have unlimited possibilities. So part of my 2020 vision for myself and for my company is that I am inspired and motivated every day to guide and mentor women to step into their thought leadership success. I am a stand that women live fulfilling, rewarding, and prosperous lives, and they also help others to do the same. So this is a way for me to guide and mentor women to be their best and highest thought leader, and then for them to go on and mentor and guide others. So it's really a paying forward vision. What's your vision for 2020? Is it a pay it forward kind of vision? Is it something where you can make a difference and then help other and guide and mentor others to make a difference too? I also know that my inspirational attributes are for this next year is number one, focused. That's the most important thing for me. I believe in the power of focusing on the critical few projects and initiatives that have the highest and biggest impact. Like many of you, I love to do a lot of different things. I could just surf the web and I could investigate and do research on lots of things. I have a lot of interests, and that type of lack of focus is not good for me. Yes, it relaxes my brain, and yes, it gives me some juju, so to speak, but I know that I can get caught up in distraction. So being focused on a few critical projects and initiatives is really important for me. So it's a way for me to bring myself back to what it is that I'm committed to. And I'll talk about that next, is how do you then bring yourself back to your commitments? Because everyone gets distracted. It's a normal human thing. It's okay to be distracted. However, it's important to have a system and a methodology to bring yourself back. Number two, my second of three inspirational attributes are, this one is, I'm inspired. I'm in spirit to positively impact the world by inspiring, guiding, and mentoring women to step into the fullness of their thought leadership. So my attributes, I need to be focused, and I am focused. Also, I choose to be inspired. And number three, I choose to be dedicated. I'm dedicated to advancing women as thought leaders because our economy and our future depend on it. I would say that I'm also dedicated, like the Dalai Lama was quoted in Atlantic magazine as saying, that the world will be saved by the Western women. The world will be saved by the Western women. And I believe that when we women are focusing and we're inspired and we're dedicated, we also make a positive difference with men in the world and also children. Systems and political institutions, educational institutions, economic and private and public businesses. So it's important for me that I remain focused, inspired, and dedicated. So what are your three inspirational attributes? Be sure to write those down. Okay. And thanks for sticking with me on this. This is really, really important. I now challenge you, and I've thought about this for myself, and I'm recommitting every morning the daily actions that I need to take to realize my 2020 vision. So this is where it comes into, what are the daily actions you need to start to take that are going to help you realize your 2020 vision? Just three. So number one, for me, I choose and I have systems in place to take excellent daily care of my physical, emotional, financial, spiritual, and relational health. Number two, every day I will and I am speaking, writing, and creating content every day. I'm working on my today, and I'm also working on my tomorrow. So how can you work on your today and also work on your tomorrow? Part of doing this work is so that you can create a body of work for yourself and create a legacy of leadership through your thoughts, your experience, programs, products, and you can actually work on today but also work on tomorrow. You can leave a legacy of knowledge, expertise, thought leadership, having a point of view, a POV, having a point of view. The world needs for you to have a point of view and bring it out into the world. So number three, the next daily action that I choose to take is that every day I'm connecting and bringing people together who are committed to becoming and advancing thought leader women around the world. So I'm creating a community around me, and I'm also tapping into other communities. So how can you do the same? Step out in faith, step out in leadership, create your own communities, and also tap into being a leader in other communities. Okay, so one of our final slides here is thinking about your 2020 vision and what's your WOTY, your word of the year? I believe in having a word of the year, and I believe in having an affirmation, multiple affirmations that support you in moving into realizing your 2020 vision. So this is how you put it into action, and you're all invited to join me. So my affirmation that I say all the time, and I've actually used positive affirmations, self-hypnosis, meditation, used a lot of those modalities to confirm for myself that I can, I will, and I am successful. I can, I will, and I am successful. So what is your affirmation for this year? And by the way, my word of the year is focus. Focus. That's probably not surprising to you, is focus. So what's your word of the year? And then what are you doing every moment of every day to affirm that? So 3 things, again, getting back to 3, is some things that I'm putting into action. Number 1 is I've developed a leadership council within the C-Suite Network. So the C-Suite Network, you can go to csuitenetwork.com. I've created a Thought Leader Expert Women Council. And the C-Suite Network is fantastic. It's the largest community and the most trusted community of C-Suite executives in the world. And I highly recommend check out their website, and you will see my council there. So you can join my council and be in an environment with other supportive, powerful, articulate, smart, and caring and committed women. Number 2 is I'm launching the C-Suite Network Leadership Accelerator. And we're starting with a virtual VIP half day on Saturday, February 8th, 2020, where we're starting the process of doing major work in visioning and putting the structures in place to have an incredible 2020 so that you can realize the freedom, the fame, and the fortune for this year. And then number 3, I know for myself that I got to get busy with my health and my vitality. I've got to be moving. And so I'm a Zumba instructor. I love Zumba. I'm leading a new class on Tuesday evenings and love for you to join me. That provides me a lot of joy and gets me moving because I need to prepare for my class. I need to practice, and also leading the class is so much fun. So what is it for you? What are the 3 things that you're actually taking action on? What are you realizing? So you can see you've got the big commitment of your vision. You have the attributes, those inspirational attributes that you need to practice all the time. And then moving into what are the actions you're going to take every day, and then the specific actions every day. So my gift to you is a 30-minute discovery call where we will talk about what is your focus, what is your vision, what is your theme for 2020. I'll ask you questions like, what do you, R3, really, really, really want to achieve in this new year? I'll be asking you also, why do you want this? Why is it really, really important to you? And then the other questions I will be asking you, and I can't wait to do this, is who do you want to become in the process? Who do you want to become in the process? How do you want to reinvigorate and re-inspire yourself for your new life? And then finally, also, we'll talk about what it is that you want to experience. What do you want to experience in this new year? So can you see that this kind of focus is a lot different than goals and setting up, okay, I'll do this X amount of times per day, I'll get out and walk, and I'll do this, and I'll stop with the sugar, and I'll do this, and I'll do this, and I'll organize my drawers, and I'll get that basement tidy and do all that. Okay, those things are important. However, these kinds of questions inspire you to think in a bigger way. And when you're thinking in a bigger way, new options, new possibilities, new people come into your life naturally. So with this, you could hire an organizer to help you with these things. You can have more freedom, have your finances, working with a financial planner, working with a high-level coach, getting yourself surrounded with a community of like-minded people. It's so possible. A lot more inspiring than setting up that 4-letter word, that goal. Okay, some next steps for you. So I encourage you through 5 things. Give yourself 30 minutes each day for success. Grant yourself the grace of 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes each day for success. Perhaps that means you need to get up a little earlier in the morning or spend some time at night. Use that time in a way that's inspiring to you. Perhaps it's prayer, perhaps it's meditation, perhaps it's just reading something inspirational, perhaps it's journaling. Give yourself 30 minutes each day. Maybe it's moving in a new way that you find inspiring, yoga practices, stretching, something that you find, just even some quiet time for 30 minutes each day. My beloved husband has quiet time every day, and he says it's one of the nicest parts of his day. He starts off every day with at least 30 minutes of quiet time. So what's that 30 minutes of sacred time for you? Put it in your schedule and tell your family, tell your friends, tell everyone, turn off your phone, and this is my time for me. Every day, my time for me. Number 2, I highly recommend writing down your daily, weekly, and monthly plans. I didn't say goals, I just said plans. Write it down. When you write it down, you activate it. You get it out in the world, out of your head, and onto paper or onto your computer. Number 3, track your progress. How did you do? How did it go? Review it at least weekly. I like to say that everyone has you have your own recipe for success. You have your own recipe for your ideal health. You have your own recipe for your ability to move and achieve what you want to achieve. Your success recipe is different than mine. So focus in on perfecting your success formula. And how to do that in step number 4 is, this is the time now. Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. It's the best investment you will ever make. Invest in yourself by getting a professional mentor, a coach, a guide, and also getting the support of a focused and committed community. Be around like-minded people that are going in the same direction that you want to go in. I personally belong to 3 different coaching and education programs because I need different perspectives. I need perspectives from men and women, and I need perspectives from people that are more successful than I am. And I need the perspective of people that are just starting out in their careers. So think about a 360 perspective. And if your company or organization doesn't provide this for you, invest in yourself enough to go out and get it for yourself. Okay? Make that commitment to yourself. And then number 5, my gift from me to you is a 30-minute income and impact accelerator call, where we will co-create your 2020 theme and write out and create right then and there a mini plan for you for the year. So how you do this is send an email message to me or send me a text. You can see the information on the screen, and I will then send you a link to my calendar, and you can book a time that works for you, and let's get that 30-minute time together. I have several of those scheduled this week, and I'd love to support you in this. And I have a limited number of income and impact accelerator calls. But I want to gift you, if you were listening to this webinar, you attended the webinar, or you registered, I'd love to gift you with one of those. Okay, so that completes our webinar for your 2020 vision. I think you can see that there are tremendous opportunities for you to have more success, more fulfillment, more fame, fortune, or freedom. And you don't have to choose for more of the same. So with that, I thank you. I congratulate you on taking the time to go through this webinar. I hope it's been inspiring to you. I'm confident that it has been. And most importantly, I hope it's inspiring you to think about your life in 2020 in a new way and take new actions. And it would be my honor and privilege to support you on your journey. with that, lots of love, lots of success, lots of happiness, and I'll see you on the journey to a better 2020. Thank you. Kathleen Caldwell signing off for now with lots of love, lots of big hugs and appreciation, and congratulations to you. Bye for now.